And if it doesn't go your way, if Biden wins, will you accept the result?
Again, what does this have to do with Julian Assange?
Marjorie Taylor Greene got fact-checked on Twitter, and the fact-check got over 170,000 likes. Marjorie has had an absolutely brutal week, and not just because I debated her boyfriend and he ran away, not just because she bombed this interview that I'm about to play, but mainly because this fact-check is so brutal and so public that Marjorie can't act like she's the voice of authority on anything anymore. She shouldn't have in the first place. But this is brutal. So Marjorie posted a video of a drag queen doing an interview on CNN, and the drag queen talks about LGBTQ rights being under attack and says that it's scary. Marjorie Taylor Greene responded by saying, "No, what's scary is men pretending to be women, reading gender cult lying books to our children, provocatively dancing nearly nude in public spaces, taking over our bathrooms, sports, and private spaces. Women and children need protection from them." Marjorie Taylor Greene is clearly implying she thinks that the person in this clip is trans, but the first fact check came from the Twitter community notes, which said the person in this clip, Bridget, is a woman and was born a female. Calling her a man is factually incorrect. But that wasn't even the big moment. The silver bullet moment was when Bridget responded herself by saying, "Hi Marjorie, I'm Bridget and I'm the queen in the clip. I'm born female and not a man. You're just proving that gender is socially constructed and have no idea what you're talking about and why you should have no say in our lives." So the people that are trying to pass these laws, restricting LGBTQ people from living their lives, restricting trans people from living their lives, the people passing these laws don't even know the fundamentals of how these things work. And Bridget's response got almost 170,000 likes. This was an incredibly public takedown of Marjorie Taylor Greene that everybody saw. And it's wild because Marjorie Taylor Greene just automatically assumed that Bridget was a transgender man, which further feeds into liberals' points that gender is socially constructed. That assumption was made without knowing Bridget's actual gender identity, which just demonstrates how people often rely on societal norms and stereotypes to define gender. People don't look at people's genitals or gametes or chromosomes. That is not how it works. The argument that I always make to differentiate between sex and gender is that since sex is biological, it's tied to your reproductive system, and gender is tied to your identity. It's socially constructed, and it's based on what you wear, your outward appearance. So when you walk up to somebody in a grocery store and you're deciding whether to call them sir or ma'am, you're not looking at their genitals in the grocery store. You're going off their gender. You're going off their outward appearance, the way that they dress. And these things can change. So imagine you're walking up to someone from behind in a grocery store and they have super long hair and they're kind of skinny. You don't know if that's a guy or a girl based on their long hair, because gender constructs nowadays allow guys to have long hair or women to have long hair, or jewelry. Guys now wear jewelry in ways they didn't before, or makeup. Guys, I guess they've always worn makeup, but nowadays guys casually put on makeup or dresses. So when you walk up to someone in a grocery store, to bring my point home, you do not look at their genitals, you look at the vague characteristics that they appear as outwardly, and that is the difference between sex and gender. Conservatives want to make it so that when somebody enters a bathroom, if they look like they could be transgender, then their genitals need to be checked, which is an absolute violation of personal space. It's a violation of everything, when in reality, we just pay attention to people's vague characteristics. Do they have makeup? Do they have long hair? How do they dress? And these things can be changed. Obviously, Marjorie Taylor Greene doesn't understand that difference, so that therefore she should not be making legislation affecting people's lives when she doesn't understand the issue. But watch this clip of Marjorie Taylor Greene melting down in an interview when she's asked what will happen when Biden wins. If Biden wins, she turns really snarky. She rolls her eyes at the end of the interview. Watch.
Truth. And why would I?
What network is this? What is this? ABC in Australia? Is she getting any marching orders from the Democrat Party? I mean,
so Marjorie Taylor Greene accuses that lady of receiving marching orders from the Democratic Party, which is hilarious because that is an Australian news station. They're not even based out of the US. Midas Touch on Twitter said, Marjorie Taylor Greene throws a tantrum on Australian TV when asked if she'd accept the results of the election if Biden wins, and asks if the interviewer is, quote, getting marching orders from the Democrat Party. Keep in mind, it's Democratic Party. But it's wild to me that this has become some sort of of controversial question. Will you accept the results of a free and fair election if your guy loses? Conceding a loss and executing the peaceful transfer of power has been the precedent since the inception of America. That has been the precedent throughout every single presidential election, and now Donald Trump and the MAGA wing of the party, people like Marjorie Taylor Greene, think they are too good to accept the results of an election, and it really pisses me off. It should piss everybody off. But the fact that we are about to have an election and Republicans can't even say whether or not they'll accept the results should worry us all. This is a type of anti-democratic, authoritarian rhetoric that we've seen creeping into the mainstream of politics for years. I mean, there were warning signs back in 2015, maybe even before that, but now it is full-blown authoritarianism. When the presumptive nominee for the Republican Party tried to stop, not only tried, he disrupted the peaceful transfer of power. He called Brad Raffensperger and said, find votes. He calls the people who raided the Capitol, who stormed the Capitol, prisoners and patriots, and calls them hostages who he wants to pardon, and Marjorie Taylor Greene plays along perfectly every step of the way. I'm sure after that interview was over, the Australian news anchor was thinking to herself, wow, the state of American politics, they are so cooked right now. But keep in mind, when Marjorie Taylor Greene is doing an interview with a station like that from another country, she's representing all Americans, whether we like it or not, and that was an utter embarrassment. Also, Donald Trump is claiming that we are a laughingstock under the Democrats. We are a laughingstock under the Biden administration, when the opposite is true. Anytime Republicans give an interview with some sort of foreign news station, they make an absolute fool of themselves. Do you remember when Donald Trump walked on stage at that NATO summit and they all started laughing at him because he speaks like such an imbecile? He speaks like a literal second grader, and all of our allies across the globe were laughing in Donald Trump's face. Donald Trump was also incredibly rude to people like Angela Merkel and Justin Trudeau when he talked to them over the phone. We got reports about that. So if you want to talk about being a laughingstock on the world stage, then look at the Republican Party. Look at Donald Trump. Marjorie Taylor Greene goes and does interviews like that, representing the American people, and makes us all look like fools in the eyes of Australians. I would much rather have someone like AOC or Bernie Sanders go and do an interview for a foreign nation, and those are probably the most far left people in the Democratic Party right now, and they are completely sane and classy and normal. They are not a Marjorie Taylor Greene or Matt Gaetz or Lauren Boebert. I'm not calling AOC extreme by any means, but objectively, she is on the farther left side of the current Democratic Party sitting in Congress. That's why they call themselves the Squad. And when you compare the people on the farther left to the people on the far right sitting in Congress, it is night and day. I would take somebody like AOC or Bernie Sanders over Marjorie Taylor Greene any day, and I think most sane Americans would. I think most sane people across the globe would, even if you're an Australian. Either way, if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like, comment a blue heart if you made it this far, make sure you hit the subscribe button. I'll be doing a live stream right after the debate tonight, so make sure you catch that. Have a great day.